if you are watching this review, just know the movie, it is not for children. Absolutely zero. So I wouldn't even recommend it for preteens. So if you're a preteen and a young child, this movie is not for you. It's not designed for children. It is completely, inexplicably made for adults. Hello, I am the Dapper Man, and this is going to be my review for not the Harley Quinn movie. We know what the title of the movie is called. It's called Birds of Prey: The Emancipation of the One Harley Quinn. But it's such a long movie title. It's fun to say though. And along with fun to say, this poster and this one right here is such a wonderful, fun design. I can't help but I very much like the design of this. And I also like the design of Suicide Squad, but that wasn't such a great movie. So, you know, what about this movie? Let's talk about this movie right here. It is directed by Cathy Yan, who I don't know who Cathy Yan is. She's a Chinese American director, so that's always pleasant to see. Something different as a director. Also stars Margaret Robbie, has Ian McGregor as a Black Mask, Journey Smollett Bell, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Now, for those who are curious who she is, for some reason I kept looking at her and I was thinking I've seen her before, and it wasn't until I got home, looked it up because I could not pinpoint exactly where I saw her at. It was in this movie. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Fantastic movie. She is brilliant in this movie, and she's not that bad in this movie either. I really want to see more of her. You don't see that much of her, so I'm sorry. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just figure I have to say that. I really wish to see a bit more of her and Journey as the Black Canary. I mean, dynamite. Along with the co-characters is the best comic book movie opening you will ever see. I think this is possibly one of my most favorite comic book movie openings. This graphic novel style, when it opens up, it's exactly what, especially with myself, enjoying reading graphic novels and comic books, this is what I want to see in a movie opening. This really sets the tone, and you know exactly what you're going in for. You get this comical zaniness that is just so over the top and so ridiculous, but it can be quite delightful to see. However, apart from the delightfulness of the opening is not so much the delightfulness of this movie. I just thought it was quite deadpan flat. It was not really that interesting. Yes, it had cool, awesome fight scenes. It has some pretty funny moments, and it has such wonderful colors and design. But when you put all that together, and you get this story, and the things that take place, it's just pretty flat and boring. Such as the title, which is such extremely long, you get this movie that feels ridiculously extremely long. It's only an hour and 45 minutes, but it felt like it should have been much shorter, or they should have done something a lot different. One of the things I would suggest this film could have done a lot different is that the exposition. Every character had to have a backstory, and oh my goodness, that was so ridiculous. There was no need to go through such strong expositions, and it didn't just, it like went half of an exposition, went back to what was present, then went back to finish the second part of the exposition of the story, and that dragged the movie much further than it had to. I'm very sure that if they did not do the exposition, and if they didn't do the backstory, it could have been a lot better. And it probably would have killed off at least 25 minutes, but because I promise you, there is so much, it probably adds up to a good 20 to 25 minutes of exposition. And there are times that many things just don't clearly add up. You just look at it, and then after I watched it, the more I thought about it, and I told my friend that after we watched the movie, the more I thought about it, the more I just thought, a lot of the things did not make sense, and it wasn't quite clear. I guess their way of trying to cover up clearing out the story was through humor and through just the zaniness that it had. But sometimes being overly zany is not such a grand thing. Another odd choice I could remember about this movie is that the way they have chosen to make every single male character a bad person. I kid you not. Every single person who is a man is not a nice, decent person. Even the one when they set up as someone who is taking care of Harley Quinn, sort of. ends up selling the person out for money. I know it's spoiling, but at this point, it doesn't really matter because when you have made every single male character a bad person, it makes you not really want to care so much for the world or anybody else around them. And it's not really a good choice because not every single person who is a man is a bad person. That's like saying every single female is a bad person because she is, I don't know, whatever a certain man would deem her as. And that's not a very good choice. And it's funny how every single female character in there is a hero, unless you're an X. If you're an X, you're instantly deemed as a bad person, which this movie has presented. And I believe that's quite unfair because, as a personal person, as a human being, as a male, I dated someone, or, we broke up, but I didn't view her as a bad person, just not really a good relationship. So that's another bad taste choice in my mind. And if the people are going to fight, at least take a punch, a cut, a hit, something. These people do not take a punch for not. Maybe one. There was probably one person, which I'm not going to name who she is. She took two punches and that's it. I promise you, every single fight sequences, it's like when you get a 130-pound person going against a 250-pound bulk powerlifting guy. I am sorry, there is a strong range of disbelief there. And if you're trying to make the fight sequences a bit believable, you can't make it believable if you're just going to throw these little punches and it's just not going to work. So that put me out of the movie strongly because it's a strong disbelief. I can buy into disbelief of certain things, and some of the action sequences is over the top, and it's funny and it's fun, it's exciting, but at least put a wee bit of some realism into it. And if you're trying to make realistic fights, at least show a realistic type of feeding and eating as you would in boxing. And this movie doesn't do that. It just makes it feel like every female character that's fighting is invincible. They will never take a punch. They'll never take a hit. And that really just kind of threw me off. If Deadpool was to remove the mask and reveal himself as Captain Marvel, that's exactly what you would get in this movie. It is the blend of Deadpool slash Captain Marvel. As for me, this movie was just okay. It had some fun moments. It had some pretty nice humor. And that's it. There's nothing really that make me want to buy a ticket and watch this movie again. And I really would encourage anyone to watch this movie. I just don't think it was that good. If you want to know the reason why it's R, just once again, it has a strong R, and here is the reason right now why it is rated R. And that is my review. Also, to let you know, there is something at the end credits. If you decide to watch this movie after all, there is something at the end credits. It's not really an end credit scene, but a bit of a voiceover. So you may get to have a good chuckle there, but I don't think it was really that much worth it to wait the 7 minutes in credits to hear this 20-second voiceover sequence. And that's it. So if you have seen the movie and you're watching the review, let me know in the comments below of your thoughts and opinions. I'm curious to hear it. I want to know your thoughts. Now, I do ask that whatever you reply, please keep it clean, please keep it civil. I have a strong hunch, not saying any of you people will, and I would greatly appreciate if you don't. Just keep it civil and, keep it decent, whatever it is that you're saying. I could very much agree to disagree, and this is my thoughts, my opinions, my biased review. It's me, so, and I'm very sure everyone's other reviews and everyone's thoughts is biased too, because you are your own person, and that's one of the greatest things about being an individual. You are you, and no one else can be you but you. But I have never had a backlash. I've never had anything really negative, except for one person, and they deleted themselves on my YouTube channel. And that was a year or two ago, so, they find their way of making it right back off the channel as soon as they come on. I hope all of you have a lovely day, and I hope you do stick around for the next review, that I get to see you around some more. I really appreciate it, and consider subscribing. I appreciate it. You don't know how much I do. And comments are one of my favorite things. If you haven't noticed, there is some friends of mine. Those are geek devotions. They love to comment, and I love to talk back and forth because we just love this conversation of movies. And there is like the Kool-Aid too. Don't know who you are, but I know you're from England, and I want to say cheers from the States to York until I get back to Ireland, which will be later this year. And I know I'm not that close to you, but I will be relatively close. So until then, take care, have a lovely day. Cheers.